Sure, there we go. All right, morning, Robert, morning, Fusi. I don't know where everybody else is, but I think for all intents and purposes, we can start with the meeting. Adrian is in Bloemfontein, but he said he'll come up a couple of minutes late and join us. The purpose of this meeting ultimately was in response to the state president declaring yet again another national state of disaster, specifically related to the adverse weather conditions. Now, that was on Tuesday the 18th. John, Stephen, and myself, as the board, only met on Thursday, the 20th, was it, Wednesday? Monday. When was it that he did the broadcast? Monday, and then we met on the Wednesday, and the volunteers that did come up on Thursday got the feedback, and this is the second day where I had hoped to provide feedback to the majority of the volunteers. During the course of the meeting, I did ask the Executive Management Advisory Group and the Tech Advisory Group to attend the meeting because I saw the opportunity that if we could all just come up quickly, we could also finalize our strategy meeting, which we had begun last year, August. Now, COVID really threw a spanner in the works in terms of us having decent meetings and get-togethers and doing things the correct way, and of course, just that little bit of socializing, if I can put it to you that way, although it must be understood that it is not an expectation that we will get together or that the volunteers will gather in one place. The reason I say that is because of the fact that, our goal is to roll CERT out nationally. There's no way the guys from Cape Town are going to come and spend a Saturday morning with us in Joburg. Although, let's move on then quickly with what transpired at the meeting. During the course of the meeting, it became very clear and evident that one, the volunteers did not know what was expected of them, and number two, what they were in actual fact required to do overall. Now, as I said on Thursday night, ultimately the buck stops with me. And I'd just like to point out that when I first formed MCOM Assist CERT as part of the sole proprietorship, which meant in terms of a business entity under the guidelines of the Disaster Management Act, I did spend almost 2 years preparing the policies and the procedures and getting that document in place and ensuring that legally everything was above board. And then after discussions with Stephen, 6SJR, and John, 6JNG, we decided to form the non-profit company and also register with SARS as a public benefit organization. Now, in all honesty, between then and now, this is the first time that I've actually met with volunteers outside of the board via Zoom or outside of the advisory group. So you guys need to understand that in terms of our registration, we are a non-government organization. And therefore, part of the strategy for the 2022-2023 year is fundraising. As a public benefit organization, we do have the capability of soliciting funds from individuals and from companies, and both individuals and companies can, in actual fact, when making a donation to MCOM Assist CERT, request a Section 18A receipt. This means that they can, in actual fact, offset the donation amount or value which they make against their annual income tax return, and it is considered as an expense. So there is an advantage. But in order to do that, CERT must be seen and be known to be doing something. And that something is the part that actually prompted this particular meeting or the concept of this meeting in relation to the declaration of a national state of disaster yet again. I just want to open this. Okay, there we go. It is open. So, as a non-profit entity. Now, be careful, Chad. Don't say non-profit organization because we are not registered with DSD. We are registered as a PBO. Our role is to first and foremost establish the voluntary community emergency response teams in terms of our memorandum of incorporation, with the overall purpose and objective of providing social welfare and, of course, disaster relief during times of disaster. We are not a first responder organization. And as such, with the declaration of a state of disaster, the board had a legal obligation to actually come together and to take a resolution of sorts, whether that is CERT will do nothing or CERT will do, or either we're going to do nothing or we are going to do something specific, whatever it was. So all being said, yeah, the emergency meeting was held on the 21st of April by the board, and it was resolved that all the registered CERT volunteers were to be sent a message, both personally and also on the admin group itself, stating that they must make themselves available or make themselves aware of potential hazards of their local area surroundings. Now, that included both the home area, the work area, and the traveling between both. And also that all the registered volunteers are to send a post on the general group for all incidents or any situation they are made aware of, or that they feel may become a threat if they were left, if that situation was to be left unattended. Now, I want to give this explanation a little bit later, or define exactly what we mean there a little bit later, because what I would like to do is I'd like to end this session. And as soon as I do, I'm going to reopen it up, because the next session, I want to actually just explain what we as CERT feel we should be doing, so that not only the volunteers, but potential volunteers can, in actual fact, have a better understanding of what to do moving forward. So at the meeting on the 21st, it was also noted that the volunteers are probably lost. And as I said, that buck stops with me. However, that being said as well, the training manuals have in actual fact been completed now. We are at that point where we have got something that we can do. And as we moved out of the board meeting into the strategy meeting, we took the decision that this year of 2022-2023 will be a year for training purposes. Okay, let's just give Adrian a few minutes to come up there. And we'll do a voice check with him. Okay, Adrian, you still connecting to audio. Okay, Adrian, are you here?
Yes, I think I'm here.
Okay, there we go. Good stuff. All right, so I'm just going to carry on. You were privy to the meeting on the 21st, so you know exactly where we're going. What I said last was, guys, the decision was taken that as far as our strategy for the 2022 to 2023 financial year will be concentrating on training. That is our very first sort of aspect. The training schedules have been posted on the admin-only group, so please have a look at them. And of course, make a plan to come up with on the particular training. Now, the basic radio communications course will be run, the induction training, as well as the disaster area damage assessment. And the importance of all three of them, and of having all CERT volunteers attend all three of those training sessions, becomes critical in understanding or in providing the service that we should be doing at the end of the day. So the radio communications, definitely outside the radio amateur protocols, procedures, totally different ballgame. We need to come to the party on that one. The induction training becomes vitally important to all CERT volunteers. Now, why? Because when you know what we are, what we stand for, what we plan on doing, and how we intend going about things, you, in your personal capacity, are in a better position to speak to other people in your workplace, your friends circle, anything else, any other people that you come into contact with. I must tell you that over the last 2 years, speaking to volunteers and asking them, what is it that, you know, why have you not brought anybody up? No, they're not interested. Why not? No, because they don't want to commit. They don't have time. Okay, well, to be quite honest, that is not relevant, and that's an excuse. And this is something that we firmly believe, and I personally believe, because I think the volunteers have got their head stuck in the sand, and they don't realize that what it is that we need you to do is in actual fact going to be explained in extreme detail during the disaster area damage assessment, because it is that training that is going to set us apart and make us unique to the disaster management overall mitigation plan and framework throughout the country. We are not a first responder organization. We are also not here to take over the role of CPFs, ambulance services, fire services, or EMS services. However, again, based on the United States of America plan and strategy for CERT, we as MCOMIS CERT should be looking at exactly the same thing and concentrating on areas where the other authorities are not operational, but at the same time supporting them as an auxiliary service. So I don't want to go into too much detail on this part of the meeting, as this part of the meeting is literally a report back on the board meeting, and of course, just to briefly explain why it is that you must make yourself aware of the potential hazards. The one aspect of the training that I would like to make publicly known is that the cost implications. If you guys have got problems with cost or with making any of the payments, rather make an arrangement with me. And of course, that will be kept private and confidential. Not even the board will know what it is that we have agreed upon. However, I personally believe that volunteers should, in actual fact, contribute towards activities. And again, this training is literally once off. You're not going to be expected to do it every sort of month or year or whatever the case might be. However, when you do the specialized training, such as first aid or firefighting or any of the other requirements, you know, if you've got to be retrained as a drone pilot, or if you've got to be retrained in some other discipline, then of course those costs will be for your own account, and that's between you and that service provider. And that includes all the MCARE training that I posted on the admin group. So please make an arrangement, make a plan, get the training done so that we can get it under our belt, get it over and done with. Guys, what happened in KZN can happen here quite easily. And I think, to be quite fair, it's not Chad just saying that. The South African government, you know, we might have many things to say and think, and we know and we believe and all the rest of it. However, when it comes to disaster management, they have to work and operate in terms of legislation that is acceptable worldwide. And in order for the government of a country to declare a national state of disaster, there are many reasons why it is done. But it does mean that the potential risk exists for a catastrophe taking place. And in all my years in this game, not once have I ever heard the statement of a humanitarian crisis being referred to or being included in any incident or situation or report regarding South Africa. And that is exactly what the state president has called KZN. Over 4,000 houses destroyed, 8,500 partially destroyed, and 40,000 people are left homeless. As I said, that's probably the population of Krugersdorp. Just think about that for a minute. All right, so I said I would call during the day, and then, of course, I called a couple of people, but discovered most people were at work and had problems and everything else. So what do I need your help with? Quite simply, we need to grow the teams. We need to grow more people in the teams. Next part of the session, I believe that you will understand why I said that, because I'm going to make a profound statement yet again, because as both of you know, I like to do things that are planned for failure. So I think at this stage, if any of you have a question, shoot now. Otherwise, let's end this session. Then I'll open Zoom up, come back on straight away, and let me just give the second part of who and what and why CERT is, should be, could be, and intended to be. Robert, any questions?
No, not from my side.
Cool. Fossey? Fossey? Okay, we'll come back to him. Adrian?
Nothing from my side, Chad.
Okay, there we go. During the course of this, as long as you don't have background noise, you can leave your microphone unmuted, because it slows the whole process down, you know. Fossey, any questions your side?
Nothing, my side.
All right, cool. Let's end this session quickly, and I'll start up the next one straight away, and then we'll move on. Okay? Log
Chad,
off.
I'm just going
Yeah.
to relocate to the other building at the moment on the site, so I might be sketchy on my side, okay?
Okay.